Hi, Marcy folks. This is Elina, and today I would like to talk about something very important if you present on stage, if you present in artistic research, if you present as an artist who is talking about their work. So if this concerns you, if this is of interest to you, then keep watching. I myself have recently defended my doctoral project, my dissertation with excellence, and the video from my defense is available right here as well as down below. And I would like to share a few tips, a few do's and don'ts in case you are in a similar situation. Maybe you are enrolled as a doctoral candidate in the arts. Maybe you are looking to start a doctoral program soon, or maybe you are actually nearing the end. If you are anywhere near these stages, or if you just like or need to talk about your artistic work from stage, then some tips might prove useful to you. I'm going to concentrate on events such as a conference presentation, a forum or symposium, or of course the doctoral defense itself. Just a reminder that I provide consultations if you are working on your doctoral proposal in the arts, or maybe an interview if you are preparing to enter a doctoral program, or if you would like to practice your presentation, for example, then you may find the link to sign up down below in the description of this video. So conference, symposia presentation are usually not very long unless you're doing a keynote. But for those who do keynotes, usually that happens at a later stage of their career, so they're more advanced and maybe more prepared to present, although not always. But anyway, keynote is usually between 30 and 60 minutes long, and that is more typical for professors, for maybe postdocs, for people who are already beyond their doctoral degree. I would like to concentrate on the presentations one must do during the course of the doctoral work, and these probably would be between 10 and 30 minutes long. The defense at my university, the University of Music and Performing Arts Graz, was 45 minutes long, plus the Q&A. The Q&A is a separate thing, of course, but something that you prepare in advance is usually not very, very long. So you have to seek clarity from the very beginning. You have to be concise, and please keep in mind that you are going to be talking about a project that you have been working on for some time, but you will be talking to people who maybe have never heard about your project, or maybe they have not heard about the latest phase of your project. So it's very important to try to explain it in the terms that would be clear to those who have no idea what you are doing. And it's not always easy if you are in it so deeply. Some things that are self-explanatory to you might not happen to be immediately clear to the others unless you make them clear. So explain things from the beginning, as you might be telling about your project to the audience that has never ever heard anything about it. So it's one of the most difficult tasks, maybe, to kind of step back mentally and look at your work with fresh eyes. I would suggest to write out your text, at least an outline, but I personally would actually suggest to write out your text and prepare, of course, your slides in advance, double, triple check them. That's super important. Of course, there are people who can freely speak and they can hold on to the timing constraints really well. I have seen and heard people who can speak really well, but they do not hold on to the timing constraints, and that can be problematic because these conferences, symposia, and especially the defense are all organized very tightly. You cannot just take extra X amount of minutes without anyone else knowing about it and think that it's gonna be okay, because it might just create a domino effect. Imagine if everybody is doing that, right? Of course, you have to think about being engaging if you want people to really connect with you, because if you are not, they're gonna be, looking at their phones or thinking about something else. So you have to think, what is the most special thing in you, in the way you present yourself, that is gonna make your audience look at you and listen to you, look at your examples and really connect the examples and what it is that you are saying to stay with you during your presentation, that they actually lift their heads and engage. Of course, use examples, maybe slides, or maybe you're giving a live performance, maybe you're showing videos, or maybe you're showing images or diagrams. They are all very helpful, and they, of course, come in handy so people can really visually connect and audibly connect with what it is you are delivering with your speech. Use your voice, work on your voice, because so many people get nervous, get anxious. I totally understand that, especially for the artists, non-singers, who are not used to use their voice on stage. This can get awkward, so it's very important to actually get acquainted with your voice before you come out on stage. Yes, so please don't forget that we all have a diaphragm and we can really use it. Don't forget to breathe. And every time when you get excited or anxious, think stepping back and standing on your heels and not on your toes. Because when we stand on our toes, when we are a little nervous, maybe there is adrenaline that kicks in. When we get excited, we go stand on our toes. Some of us do, at least. Then automatically the voice goes higher and it becomes less convincing and more rather screaming or into that direction. So that's something that we really do not want to happen, I'm pretty sure. So remember to breathe, to step back, keep your posture, and use your diaphragm. Explore your voice, explore your body, and explore yourself and your body in any space. In the space you're practicing your speech, walk around, feel the space, talk from different spots in that space. And if you have a moment to rehearse, especially if it's a very important presentation such as the defense, make sure that you get your rehearsal slot to actually practice hearing yourself in that space, being in that space. You have to be comfortable with the fact that you are interacting not only with the people, but also with the space by the means of your own body, your voice, and of course, the eye contact. This way, of course, you will sound much more convincing. Now, in regard to the presentation itself, make sure that you organize it in a way that is going to make sense. Introduce your project in the beginning. Then you can write out the background of the project, the state of the art, what other people have done, or maybe what you have already done. Then your methodology. What is the exact approach? How do you work? Of course, then introduce the examples, the results, or maybe some points where you got stuck. And that's also okay to show something that didn't work, because it's also part of the process. So you might want to include those things in it. Don't forget the references, of course, at the end. You might want to also guide the audience through the structure of your presentation in the very beginning. So you can quickly say, I'm going to talk about A, B, C, all these parts, or the parts that you decided to include for that particular presentation. So the audience knows what to expect. It might be just one sentence, but it's really helpful. Run through your presentation at least 3 to 5 times. I would suggest no less than this. Check your slides. And what's helpful is writing out. That's what I do, and that helps me. Writing out in red in the text when you need to change the slide. So you don't have to think about it. You know for sure when is your next slide coming up, and you just do it automatically. Of course, you have to know your text so well that when you are speaking it from the stage, you don't even think about the content anymore. You think about the expression, you think about maybe rests, where do you pause slightly, or where to not rush, or maybe there is a word you want to emphasize, make it bold. If you are consulting your text, if you are reading, that's fine, as long as you keep the eye contact from time to time. So of course, don't just look at the text without looking at your audience, but if you want to emphasize certain things, make them clear in the text, so you don't have to think about it. Where do you need to slightly stop, or what do you need to maybe say in a certain way? Prepare all of your dramaturgy of the presentation in advance and practice it in advance. It might sound funny that you have to prep all these things, but this is going to then help you really focus on the speech and not exactly on what you need to say. Time different parts of your speech as well. For example, when I present, I always know what minute and almost what second I'm at, because it will help me not get stressed that I might be over time or I might not have enough material or something like that. I know that, for instance, my example number 1 comes at a minute X, and I have done it 5 times and it always comes at that minute. Maybe there would be a 30-second difference, but not so much. And I know the speed I'm talking with. So that would give me comfort on stage and help me be sure that I don't have to be concerned about all this other housekeeping and how am I doing with my presentation. Run it through for if you have a colleague or a supervisor or a friend or someone, maybe they don't even understand it, but so that you practice it in front of somebody, just so you have another agency in the room. That is very, very helpful. I personally did 5 run-throughs, full run-throughs for my defense, and I did many more run-throughs just for certain parts. For example, I practiced my piano performance separately many times and ran through my piece, and I also ran through my text separately many times. That really helped me get through my defense, because that was the most uncomfortable situation in my life, since I had to play after a 35-minute speech. That was very difficult since I go into 2 different headspaces on stage. So one is for playing the piano and another one is for talking. And I have never combined the 2 before, because I always would show my videos since my work is focused on cross-disciplinary performance. So I needed to show videos of my projects, excerpts from my films, but I have never done a live performance and I wanted to play after I would speak. So it would be clear for everyone, and especially for the doctoral committee who was giving me the grade, that the things I was explaining in my speech would make sense through my playing, and otherwise they would not make so much sense if I would have played in the beginning as I was suggested. But I said no and I chose the harder option. I think I made it after all, but I had 5 complete run-throughs during the preceding 10 days or so, and many multiple run-throughs of different parts, the text only and the piano performance only. And I suggest this algorithm if you are preparing for a presentation of this type. Think also of your committee and the potential questions, especially if this is your exam presentation or the defense. In my case, the committee wrote the questions as part of the feedback to my dis, which was super helpful because I studied the feedback that I got very thoroughly, and I sort of wrote out my potential answers if I get those questions. At least I outlined, so I knew what I was going to say if I were asked one of those things that were already in the feedback. That was really helpful. And if you are about to defend, I really suggest to go through the feedback you get to the dis. I know about a case when someone uploaded the profiles, works and biographies maybe, of the committee members to an OpenAI software and asked the AI to generate potential questions for their defense based on the profiles of the committee members. I myself haven't done it like this, but that might be interesting to look into if you really want to train well, knowing who your committee members are. It could be some food for thought to actually try. Moreover, one of my committee members actually wrote the questions down, and I was able to see very clear questions written out as part of the feedback, and that really helped me prepare and think about the things this person was asking or could be asking. And I ended up actually being asked one of those questions during my defense, during my Q&A part. So analyzing your dis feedback is essential because your defensio grade, the Q&A part grade, might in fact depend on it. Let me know if you have any questions about preparing a speech, a presentation, especially in the context of artistic academia, if you're maybe working on a doctoral degree in the arts. By the way, I'm going to actually link the playlist up here and down below on artistic research that I have made. It has my videos on artistic research itself, on various doctoral programs, and my own experience as well as my doctoral defense. So you are more than welcome to check it out. I hope that this video was helpful if you are going through the stage of preparing for a presentation. If you are in the artistic academia, in artistic research, perhaps if you are a performer, a composer, if you are someone going through your doctoral journey, don't hesitate to contact me for a consultation. Hit like, subscribe, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye!